The cosmos held its breath. Thanos stood on the ruins of Titan, the infinity gauntlet glowing on his left hand, each stone a star trapped in metal, throbbing with power that made the very fabric of space whimper. Below him, the last of the Avengers lay broken. Above, the stars dimmed, as if sensing their impending end. His jaw set, he raised the gauntlet. Balance. That was all he sought. A universe pruned, saved from itself. Then the void screamed. It started as a ripple faint at first, then a tear, jagged and purple, splitting the sky above him. The gauntlet stones flared, not with their usual steady hum, but a panicked pulse, as if recoiling from something beyond the rift. Thanos froze, his fingers hovering an inch from the gauntlet's core. This was not the work of the Avengers. This was older, hungrier. The rift widened, and a force like a black hole yanked him inward. He roared, slamming his free fist into the void's edge, but it was useless. His strength, even augmented by the stones, was nothing against the pull. The last thing he saw was Titan's crumbling surface. The first thing he felt was fire. He crashed onto a battlefield, the ground cracking under his weight, and when he looked up, he understood. This was not his universe. The sky was a bruise of red and black, swirling with tendrils of smoke that had minds of their own. The ground was littered with the bodies of soldiers, some in blue armor, their chests emblazoned with an eagle, others in black, their armor fused with flesh and bone, their eyes glowing with frenzy. In the distance, a city burned. Its spires toppled, its streets flooded with a black, viscous liquid that hissed when it touched the air. And at the center of it all stood a figure. He was tall, taller than Thanos even, clad in armor that had once been gold, now tarnished and fused with daemon flesh. His wings were tattered, leathery things, dripping with ichor. His face was a mask of scar tissue and corruption, one eye replaced by a glowing red orb that locked onto Thanos the second he landed. In his hand, he wielded a sword that dripped with fire. Not ordinary fire, but the fire of the warp, the same cold flame that clung to Thanos' skin. Another fool who thinks he can stand in the Warmaster's way. Thanos stood, his gauntlet glowing brighter power thrumming in his veins, even as the warp's cold fire tried to seep into his bones. Warmaster? He tilted his head, studying the figure. You reek of chaos, of imbalance. The figure laughed, a sound like metal grinding against bone. Chaos, imbalance. Such small words for a being who carries power like that. He nodded at the gauntlet, his red eye narrowing. What are those stones, trespasser? More trinkets from the false emperor's lap? These are the Infinity Stones, Thanos said, his voice sharp. They are the key to balance, to saving the universe from its own greed. The figure's laughter died. He took a step forward, and the ground trembled. You think destruction is salvation? I am Horus Lupercal, Warmaster of the Imperium, chosen of the dark gods, and I will burn this universe to ash, not to save it, but to free it from the lie of order. Thanos' fists tightened. Horus Lupercal. The name meant nothing to him, but the madness in the man's eyes was familiar to the titans who had sought power for power's sake, to the warlords who had destroyed worlds in their greed. Order is not a lie, it is necessary. Without it, the universe collapses into chaos. Then let it collapse, Horus snarled. He raised his sword, and the air ignited. Prove your balance to me, trespasser, or burn with the rest of the false emperor's dogs. The first strike came fast, faster than Thanos expected. Horus's sword sliced through the air, its fire leaving a trail of black smoke, and Thanos barely dodged, the heat searing his arm. He countered with a blast from the Power Stone, golden light slamming into Horus's chest. But the Warmaster didn't even flinch. His armor absorbed the blast, The daemon flesh fused to it, writhing and laughing. "Your power is weak," Horus said, grinning. "Weakened by the warp. Your stones fear what they cannot control." Thanos' jaw tightened. He could feel it, the gauntlet's power fading just a little as the warp's corruption nipped at the stones. But he was not so easily defeated. He raised his hand, and the space stone flared, ripping a rift in the ground, swallowing a horde of daemon soldiers that had been creeping up behind Horus. Horus's grin faded. "Interesting. You can bend space. But can you bend the will of the dark gods?" He raised his sword again, and this time the sky split open. Daemons pouring out, their forms twisted and grotesque, their screams shaking the ground. "Let us see how your balance holds against the horde of chaos." Thanos stood his ground. The infinity gauntlet glowed, and the reality stone flared, turning the nearest daemon into a pillar of salt, then another, then a dozen. But for every daemon he destroyed, 2 more poured from the rift. The warp's cold fire was seeping into his bones now, making his muscles ache, his mind fogged at war. But then he smiled, because chaos was not his enemy. Imbalance was. And Horus, this Warmaster, this pawn of the dark gods, was the very definition of imbalance. "Let us see who burns first." He raised the gauntlet, and the stones roared. The daemon horde fell in seconds. Thanos unleashed the full force of the infinity stones, space tearing the sky's rift shut, time reversing the damage to the battlefield, if only to reset the fight on his terms, power slamming into Horus with enough force to crack a planet. The Warmaster flew backward, crashing into a pile of broken armor, and when he stood, his red eye was wide surprise, not anger, for the first time. You are not like the others," Horus said, his voice quieter now, the multiple tones in it fading to a single growling baritone. "You are not a pawn of the Emperor, not a slave to order." Thanos lowered his gauntlet, the stones dimming. "I am a servant of balance, nothing more, nothing less." He took a step forward, studying Horus. "Your gods, these dark gods you serve, they thrive on chaos, on destruction. They are the antithesis of balance." Horus laughed, but it was a hollow sound. He brushed demon ichor from his armor, his red eye never leaving Thanos. "The dark gods do not thrive on chaos. They are chaos. They are the true face of the universe, the face the Emperor hides behind his lies of order and purity." He paused, tilting his head. "But you could be useful. Your stones, they could break the Emperor's hold on Terra. They could open the warp wide, let the dark gods flood this universe, and burn the false Imperium to the ground." Thanos raised an eyebrow. "And what would I gain from that? A universe drowned in chaos? That is not balance. That is annihilation. Annihilation is the first step to rebirth," Horus said, his voice dropping to a whisper as if sharing a secret. "The Emperor's Imperium is rotting. It is a corpse, propped up by lies and blood. Burn it, and something new will rise. Something free, something balanced." He nodded at the gauntlet. "With your stones and my army, we could do it. We could break the cycle. We could give the universe the freedom it deserves." Thanos hesitated. He thought of his universe, of the Avengers, of Titan, of the balance he had sought to achieve. This universe was different. It was already dying, already drowning in chaos. Perhaps Horus was right. Perhaps burning it down was the only way to reset it, to bring balance to a universe that had long since forgotten what it meant. .shbe. He thought of Horus's eyes, the madness in them, the hunger. This was not a man seeking freedom. This was a man seeking destruction. .ul. "Tell me," Thanos said, his voice sharp, "what do the dark gods promise you? Power? Glory? Or are you just a puppet dancing to their tune? Horus's face twisted into a snarl. He raised his sword, and the warp's fire flared. I am no puppet. I am the Warmaster. I am the Warmaster. The dark gods chose me because I am strong enough to wield their power, to free this universe from the Emperor's tyranny. Thanos sighed. You are a fool who thinks power is freedom. But power without balance is just destruction. He raised his gauntlet, and the Mind Stone glowed, pushing into Horus's mind, trying to see the truth behind the madness. What he saw made his blood run cold. He saw Horus as a boy, young, proud, loyal to the Emperor, his father. He saw the corruption creep in slow at first, a whisper in the dark, then a roar, then a roar. He saw the dark gods, Khorne, the blood god, screaming for violence. Xianchech, the changer of ways, weaving lies. Nurgle, the plague father, spreading decay. Slanesh, the prince of pleasure, tempting with desire. He saw Horus's soul, twisted, broken, a prisoner in his own body. The dark god's voices drowning out his own. And he saw something else. A plan. A trap. The dark gods had sensed the Infinity Stones. The second Thanos arrived. They wanted the Gauntlet. They wanted to use its power to break the barrier between the warp and real space, to make the universe their playground. Horus was just a tool, a means to an end. Thanos pulled his mind out of Horus's. Gasping, the Warmaster stumbled backward, clutching his head, his red eye flickering. What? What did you do? I saw the truth, Thanos said, his voice cold. Your gods do not want to free the universe. They want to devour it. And you are their feast. Horus roared, his form shifting, growing taller, his armor splitting as demon wings burst from his back, his sword glowing brighter. Lies. You speak lies, trespasser. The dark gods are my allies. They will make me a god. They will make you a corpse, Thanos said. He raised his gauntlet, and the stones flared. But first, you will tell me how to close the rift that brought me here. I want to go home, Horus laughed, a sound like a daemon's scream. Home. You will never go home. The warp has marked you, trespasser. The dark gods have seen your power. They will not let you leave. He raised his sword, and the ground split open, daemons pouring out, not to attack, but to surround them, forming a circle of flesh and fire. You will join me, or you will die, and your stones will belong to the dark gods. Thanos stood his ground. He could feel the warp's power growing, could feel the gauntlet's stones trembling, as if afraid. But he was Thanos. He did not fear death. He feared imbalance. And if the dark gods wanted the stones, they would have to take them from his cold, dead hands. The second met the same fate. But the demons kept coming, their numbers endless, their attacks growing more desperate. Horus watched, grinning as Thanos fought, watched as the warp's fire seeped into the gauntlet, as the stone's glow faded a little more with each passing second. You are weakening, Horus said, his voice taunting. The warp is eating your power. Your stones cannot save you. Thanos said nothing. He focused on the fight, on the demons, on Horus, on the balance he had sworn to protect. He unleashed the Time Stone, reversing the clock just enough to dodge a demon's blade, then the Reality Stone, turning another into a cloud of dust. But the demons kept coming, and Horus was waiting. Waiting for Thanos to tire, waiting for the warp to break him, waiting to take the gauntlet for himself. Gnosis knew it. He could feel it in his bones. The fight was not against the demons. It was against Horus. Rouse. Against the dark gods. Against the chaos that threatened to consume not just this universe, but his own. Jeshel. He took a deep breath. He raised the gauntlet, and he prepared to do what he did best, destroy. Destroy. The blast was unlike anything Horus had ever seen. Nas unleashed the full force of the Infinity Stones, all 6 at once, and the sky split open. Golden light flooded the battlefield, searing the daemon's flesh, turning the warp's fire to ash. Horus was thrown backward, his armor cracking, his daemon wings smoking, and when he looked up, Thanos was standing in the center of the light, his gauntlet glowing so brightly it hurt to look at. But something was wrong. The light was not pure. It was twisted, flickering with purple and black, the colors of the warp. The gauntlet stones were pulsing, not with their usual steady rhythm, but with a frenzy that matched the daemon's screams. Thanos' face was tight, his jaw set, as if he was fighting to control the power surging through him. Your precious balance is failing, trespasser. The dark gods are winning. Thanos roared, trying to contain the power, but it was useless. The stones had absorbed the warp's corruption, and now they were fighting back. The power stone flared, sending a blast of black energy into the ground, and a daemon erupted from the crack. Bigger, stronger, its skin covered in runes that glowed with the same purple light as the warp. Kill the trespasser. Cool. Take his stones. The daemon charged, its claws raised, and Thanos barely dodged. He tried to use the space stone to teleport away, but it didn't respond. Its light dim, its power corrupted. The Mind Stone flared, but instead of pushing into the daemon's mind, it sent a wave of madness into Thanos' own. Whispers, lies, the voices of the dark gods, tempting him, taunting him. Join us, Thanos. Thanos. Feel the power. Let the chaos free you. He shook his head, trying to clear the voices, but they wouldn't stop. They were everywhere. In his mind, in his bones, in the gauntlet itself. The stones were no longer his. They were tools of the warp, tools of chaos. Horus laughed, stepping forward, his sword glowing with corrupted fire. Look at you, a god, brought to his knees by the very power he thought to control. You are no different from me, trespasser. No different from any of the dark gods' chosen. Thanos looked up, his eyes wild. I am not like you. I am not a pawn. You are a fool, Horus said. He raised his sword, and the daemon behind Thanos lunged. A fool who will die for his lies. Thanos ducked, the daemon's claws missing his head by inches, and he countered with a blast from the reality stone, turning the daemon's arm to glass, then shattering it with a punch. But the daemon didn't die. It just grew a new arm, bigger, stronger, covered in spikes. The warp bends to the dark god's will, Horus said, grinning. Your stones cannot destroy what they cannot understand. They cannot destroy chaos. Thanos' breath came fast. He could feel his strength fading, could feel the warp's corruption seeping deeper into his mind, his body, his soul. He thought of Titan, of Gamora, of the balance he had fought so hard to achieve. He thought of the Avengers, of the universe he had left behind. Would they be okay without him? Would the balance hold? No, he knew it wouldn't. Without him, the universe would fall into chaos. Just like this one. Just like Horus's. Di. He couldn't let that happen. Di. He took a deep breath. He closed his eyes. He focused on the one thing that had always kept him going. Balance. Not the balance of destruction, but the balance of order, of control. He reached into his mind, pushing back against the dark god's whispers. He reached into the gauntlet, trying to reclaim the stones' power from the warp's corruption. It was harder than anything he had ever done. But he kept going. He kept fighting. All. Slowly, the stone's glow began to change. The purple and black faded, replaced by their original colors: gold, blue, red, green, yellow, orange. The warp's corruption retreated, hissing and screaming, and Thanos felt his strength return. He opened his eyes, and Horus's grin faded. You You're fighting it, Horus said, his voice tight. You're fighting the dark gods. I am fighting for balance, Thanos said, his voice calm, and you are in my way. He raised the gauntlet, and the stones roared. This time, the light was pure golden, bright, untainted by the warp. The daemon behind him disintegrated screaming, and the circle of daemons surrounding them burst into flames. Horus stumbled backward, his armor smoking, his red eye wide with fear. You cannot win, Horus said, his voice shaking. The dark gods will not let you win. The dark gods are nothing but shadows, Thanos said. He took a step forward, the gauntlet glowing brighter, and shadows burn in the light of balance. He unleashed a blast from the Power Stone. Golden light slamming into Horus's chest. The Warmaster's armor cracked, and he screamed, his form shifting, the daemon flesh fused to his body, writhing and dying. The red eye in his face exploded, and for a second, Thanos saw it. The real Horus, the boy who had loved the Emperor, the man who had been betrayed by the dark gods. Ish. I'm sorry, Horus whispered, his voice soft, human. I'm so sorry. Then the moment was gone. The daemon flesh reasserted itself, and Horus's face twisted into a snarl. You pay for that, trespasser. The dark gods will make you suffer. He raised his sword, and the sky split open. Another rift, bigger than before, pouring out daemons that were not just soldiers, but generals. Daemons with wings of fire, daemons with claws of ice, daemons that could bend the warp to their will. Horus laughed, his voice frenzied. Look at them. Look at the dark god's army. You cannot stop them. You cannot stop me. Thanos stood his ground. He looked at the daemons, at Horus, at the rift in the sky. He knew he couldn't stop them alone. He knew he needed help, but help was not coming, not from his universe. Not from this one, unless... He thought of the Emperor. Horus had mentioned him. This false Emperor, this ruler of the Imperium. If the Emperor was the enemy of the dark gods, then perhaps he was Thanos' ally. Perhaps he was the only one who could help him close the rift, who could help him get home. But how? But how? How could he reach the Emperor? How could he convince a man he had never met to trust him? He looked at the gauntlet, at the stones, at the power he held in his hand. He had an idea, a crazy idea. An idea that could get him killed. He raised the gauntlet, and the space stone flared. He didn't teleport. He didn't attack. He opened the rift. Not to his universe, but to the heart of the Imperium, to Terra, to the Golden Throne, to the Emperor. Horus's eyes widened. What are you doing? You cannot summon the Emperor. He is a prisoner, a corpse. Thanos said nothing. He focused on the rift, on the faint golden light he could see on the other side. He focused on the Emperor's presence, weak but alive, a beacon of order in a universe of chaos. Your Warmaster has betrayed you. The dark gods are coming. Help me stop them, and I will help you free yourself from your throne. For a moment, nothing happened. The rift flickered, the golden light fading. Horus laughed, grinning. See, he is dead, a corpse, a lie. Then the light flared. A voice echoed through the rift, deep, powerful, worn but alive. A voice that made the warp's fire recoil, that made the daemons scream. Watch. I hear you, Thanos of Titan, the Emperor said. I hear your plea, and I accept. The rift widened, and a blast of golden light poured out, searing the daemons, pushing back the warp's corruption. Horus stumbled backwards, screaming. As the light touched him, his daemon flesh burning, his armor melting. "The Emperor, he's alive," Horus whispered, his voice filled with fear. "He's alive." Thanos smiled. Balance, at last. He stepped through the rift, into the heart of Terra, into the presence of the Emperor, into the final battle. The Golden Throne Chamber was a vision of both glory and decay. On it sat the Emperor skeletal, his body fused to the machinery beneath him, his eyes burning with blue fire that matched the Astronomican's beacon. Around him, psychers lay dead or dying, their life force drained to keep him alive, to keep the beacon lit. That CI hummed with power, not the warp's cold fire, but the Emperor's own light, pure, strong, orderly. And when Thanos stepped through the rift, the Emperor's blue eyes locked onto him. "Thanos of Titan," the Emperor said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "bearer of the Infinity Stones. You have come to Terra at a time of great need." Thanos nodded, closing the rift behind him. "The Warmaster is corrupted. The dark gods are using him to open the warp, to devour this universe." He held up the gauntlet. "My stones can stop them, but they are weakened by the warp's corruption. I need your help. I need your light." The Emperor's blue eyes flickered to the gauntlet, then back to Thanos. "Your stones are power, raw, unfiltered. The warp feeds on such power. It twists it, corrupts it. But my light is order. It can purify the stones. It can help you control them." He paused, his voice softening. "But there is a price. To purify the stones, I must use the last of my strength. I will die, and the Astronomican will fade. The Imperium will fall." Thanos' jaw tightened. "And if we do nothing, the dark gods will devour this universe, and mine. All universes." "Then we have no choice," the Emperor said. "Purify the stones. Stop Horus. Stop the dark gods. And when it is done, you must leave this universe. The warp will never let you stay. It will never let the stones stay." Thanos nodded. "I understand. Let us begin." The Emperor closed his eyes, and his body began to glow, golden light pouring out of him, filling the chamber. Thanos stepped forward, holding out the gauntlet, and the light wrapped around it, warm, pure, untainted. He could feel the warp's corruption retreating from the stones, their glow brightening, their power returning. The process was painful. The Emperor's light burned, searing Thanos' hand, but he kept going. He kept holding on. For balance, for order, for the universes he had sworn to protect. When it was over, the Emperor's light faded. His body was still, his blue eyes dim, his breath shallow. The gauntlet, however, was glowing brighter than ever. Its stones pure, their power untainted by the warp. "Stop, Horus. Stop the dark gods. And do not forget, balance is not just destruction. It is hope." Samos nodded. He turned, opened a rift with the space stone, and stepped through back to the battlefield, back to Horus. The scene had changed. The demons had multiplied, their numbers endless, their attacks more ferocious. Horus stood in the center of them, his form fully corrupted, no trace of the man he had once been, just a daemon in Warmaster's armor, his sword glowing with the warp's cold fire. When he saw Thanos, he roared, You summoned the Emperor. You have sealed your fate." Thanos said nothing. He raised the gauntlet, and the stones roared. The battle was short, but brutal. Thanos unleashed the full force of the Infinity Stones, space tearing the daemons' ranks apart, time reversing their attacks, power slamming into Horus with enough force to shatter a star. The Warmaster fought back, his sword slicing through the air, his daemon powers lashing out. But it was useless. The stones were pure now. Their power was unmatched. Thanos grabbed Horus by the throat, lifting him off the ground. The Warmaster struggled, his claws scratching at Thanos' arm, but he couldn't break free. "Tell me how to close the rift between our universes. Tell me how to stop the dark gods from crossing over." Horus laughed, blood dripping from his mouth. "You cannot stop them. They are eternal. They will find a way. They will devour your universe, your balance, your hope." Thanos' grip tightened. "Tell me." Horus's laughter died. He looked into Thanos' eyes, and for a second, Thanos saw it again. The real Horus, the boy, the man, the Warmaster who had been betrayed. The rift, it is tied to my soul, Horus whispered. "Kill me, and the rift will close. The dark gods will be trapped in the warp, for now." Thanos' jaw tightened. "For now?" "The dark gods never stay trapped," Horus said. "They will find another way, another pawn."
"Another Warmaster!"
He smiled. "A sad, bitter thing. But kill me, please. I am tired. Tired of the lies. Tired of the pain. Tired of being a puppet." Thanos looked at Horus, at the corruption, at the pain, at the madness. He thought of the Emperor's words. Balance is not just destruction, it is hope. He raised the gauntlet. The Power Stone glowed. "I am sorry," Thanos said. The blast hit Horus square in the chest. His body exploded into ash, the daemon flesh burning away, the warp's fire hissing and dying. The rift in the sky began to close, the daemons screaming as they were pulled back into the warp.non. When it was over, the battlefield was quiet. The sky cleared, the red and black fading to a pale blue. The ground stopped trembling. The warp's corruption was gone. Thanos stood alone, the gauntlet glowing in his hand. The universe balanced at Jibu. But he was not done. He opened a rift to his own universe, bright, familiar, alive. He stepped through, and the rift closed behind him. But before he left, he looked back at Terra, at the Emperor, at the universe he had saved. He would never forget it. He would never forget the lesson he had learned. Balance was not just destruction, it was hope. And hope was worth fighting for. Thanos returned to his universe, to Titan, to the ruins of his battle with the Avengers. But things were different. The universe was balanced just as he had wanted. But there was a shadow over it, a faint, cold shadow, a shadow of the warp.wish. He knew it. The dark gods had not been destroyed, they had been trapped. For now. He looked at the gauntlet, at the stones, at the power he held in his hand. He knew he could not keep it, not anymore. The warp had marked the stones, marked him. And if he kept them, the dark gods would find a way to reach his universe, to destroy the balance he had fought so hard to achieve. He made a decision. He traveled to Vormir, to the Soul Stone's home, to the Red Skull.s. "I want to return the stones," Thanos said, his voice calm. "All of them. They are too dangerous, too easily corrupted." The Red Skull laughed. "You, the Mad Titan, giving up power? You must be joking." "I am not joking," Thanos said. He held out the gauntlet, the warp. "The dark gods, they want the stones. They will destroy this universe to get them. I cannot let that happen." The Red Skull studied him. "You have changed, Thanos. You are no longer the man who sought to destroy half the universe. I am the man who sought to balance it," Thanos said. "And balance requires sacrifice. Even the sacrifice of power. The Red Skull nodded. Very well. I will take the stones. I will hide them. I will hide them where even the dark gods cannot find them. The stone's glow faded as the Red Skull took them, hiding them in the shadows of Vormir. When it was done, Thanos felt lighter, freer. He returned to Titan, to the ruins, to the silence. But he was not alone, Saya. A faint whisper echoed in his mind, familiar, cold frenzy, Saya. The game is not over, Thanos. We will find you. We will find you. We will find your universe. And we will burn it to ash. Ishel. Thanos smiled. He stood, his back straight, his eyes focused on the stars. 9. I will be waiting, he said.